Radhe Krishna friends, welcome to yet another Hen Live. I am Ruchi, founder Hen, her entrepreneurial network, a community for women entrepreneurs pan India, where we come together to inspire each other, support each other, inform each other about day to day business building. Today, we have come here with one more interesting conversation. And today's conversation is about building muscle that we all need, emotional intelligence. So, to all my viewers, do you think emotional intelligence is important? And if yes, do write a yes. And if no, write a no. However, I feel emotional intelligence is important. I think the world needs it now. And while I was doing this research for today, I did come across some research that says emotional intelligence is responsible for 58% of job performance across role. And there is another kicker that says 90% of top performers are high in EI, which means if you have people who are top performing, 90% of them will be actually high on EI. The question is, do we have solid EI muscle? Do we know are we building it or not? Do we know or are able to track, are they there? Let's get talking, let's learn with the experience of Vanitha Choudhary. Hey Vanitha.
Hi, good evening, Ruchi.
Hey Vanitha, thank you for joining in. Guys, Vanitha is founder Radical Edge Learning Consultant. She's been working for last 29 years and 2 decades of her work, which is 20 years, she spent only on EI. She's worked with all types of corporates, small business owners, mid-sized business owners, small teams, big teams, solopreneurs, helping them understand where does EI help them, not just at work, but in life. Vanitha, correct?
Absolutely, Ruchi. I think it's been a beautiful journey of constant learning, I should say.
Yeah, of course. Now, before we dive into the subject, tell us your reason, your journey. How did EI took so much attention from you and why EI for you?
I think it's a very simple answer, Ruchi. In 1995, when I was graduating, this book got released called Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman and shook the whole world. Because till then, everyone considered that you're smart and intelligent based on your IQ. And here, this gentleman comes in 1995 and says that EQ is also important, it's just not IQ alone. And I loved it because for me, getting score was not the indication of your smartness and connectedness. And I've always been a people person. And I used to ask my professors in college, is there a matrix to measure people connectedness or social skills? And here was this
Hmm.
gentleman who said all this in the book, and I said, "Oh my God, this is it." So I think my first love affair with EI was in 1995, which is almost 30 years back now, but didn't get an opportunity to work on it strongly. But last 20 years, I've totally dedicated myself in every way possible, making EI something that I believe in, and I showcase it and I work on it.
Absolutely. I absolutely resonate with what you say, Vanita. Primarily, when I started out my work, I think I was far behind with EI. I used to ask my team members to come on a Sunday and work. I remember I had somebody who got married and came and told me that, I've just got married. I cannot come on a Sunday. I would like to spend the day with my wife. And I was like, what's wrong with you? You can spend 2 hours with your wife and your life is sorted. You might as well come and work. It took me 2 years after that to learn what mess I was creating. And from there, today my team works only 5 days a week. And I
Okay.
tell them Saturday, Sunday, nobody works. So it is important.
I like
But
that's like
let's
a huge paradox shift, I should say.
Yeah, thank you so much. I take pride in telling this story to everybody. But on that note, so to our viewers, if you want to participate in the conversation, just share your questions, your thoughts, your observations with EI. All right, we're going to take each one of your conversations in. And what we will do is we will not go around the bush thinking why EI is important. Let's see how EI is practically working in lives. So, Vanita, let's do this. Let's start with different aspects of an entrepreneur's life.
Sure.
Self doubt first, self doubt and self belief. it's so important for us to be close to our own selves before
Hmm.
we build the business, the solution that we are building for the world.
Hmm.
We often hear entrepreneurs are harsh or people get harsh on themselves. They don't know
Yeah,
when to
that's true.
rest, right? But we still don't have ways to think and understand, am I right with myself? Do I need to build my EI for myself or I'm good? Do you have a practical story experience to share how to go about this?
In fact, I think it's human nature, Ruchi, to be very self critical. And
Hmm.
sometimes it becomes toxic without we realizing it. And that
Hmm.
is where the first step of EI comes into your aid. It's called
Hmm.
self awareness. Awareness of yourself, which is your good, bad, and ugly side, and
Hmm.
accepting it, not fighting against it. So, for example, I had this lady entrepreneur from a
Hmm.
tier two who,
Hmm.
through the government of Karnataka, I was mentoring her. And she was into the business of leather goods, and it was started by her father. But she was struggling not only with people, with business, doing literally everything, burning out, having a small child, not able to manage the family. It was really getting onto her. And that's where I had to take that stop in my mentoring discussions. And I said, hey, there's something that I want to talk to you about. Can we do it like away from this? And then we started talking about her likes, dislikes, what are our strengths, what is our vision, what is our aim, what is that she want, not daddy's shadow, but what is it that you really want. And post all that discussions, one thing which clearly emerged is that she's not her father, right? So many entrepreneurs, you realize they inherit businesses and they somehow
Hmm.
believe that that's how it should be without realizing that now they are in charge and they are a human and unique by themselves. And so is leaders in corporate world. When you become a leader, you end up becoming a shadow of the leader that you had without realizing
Hmm.
that individual yourself. And there's always
Hmm.
a choice of how you show up. So
Hmm.
for that, you need to be super aware of who you are. Be
Hmm.
aware, be acknowledged of who you are, and work on it.
Hmm.
In fact, I don't even use the word weakness in the way I talk in AI. I call them limitations. It's just limiting you now, but the more you
Hmm.
need to work and overcome them. So
Hmm.
one of the activities you can do is there's tons of materials available on Google. Pick up
Hmm.
self-awareness uh, assessment or questionnaire or anything for that matter, which makes you reflect. And if
Hmm.
anyone is interested, you can connect and I can give you certain documents that I use for self-awareness. And it's very easy to reflect back. And for that, you also need to practice a habit of every day taking that
Hmm.
pause and reflecting for a minute
Hmm.
of what you did well today and what you could have done better.
Hmm. You're
Literally a one.
also,
Yeah, we have 1,440 minutes, Ruchi. In that, 1 minute is what it takes to become an high EI person in self awareness.
yeah, yeah. You're also hinting towards those practices that we call journaling,
Yes.
meditation,
Oh,
that kinds
yes.
of helps you reflect
Absolutely. In fact, for the
into.
most busy people, I tell them, hey, by the time you hit your pillow and sleep, there is that time. It's so easy
Hmm.
for you to reflect then. You don't have to take extra time for this. Just be
Hmm.
smart enough that when you close your eyes and hit the bed, ask yourself, what do I do well? What can I do better? Two simple questions.
Yeah. So there's several takeaways here. So number one, you're saying, just get to journaling, get to meditation, give yourself that space to talk to yourself.
Yes,
Importance of self-talk.
absolutely.
Two, you're saying be honest to yourself.
Oh,
That's important. You call your weakness limitation, but address that that's your limitation.
exactly.
And we will come to understanding that, how do you talk to these limitations in that case?
Correct. Yeah,
But and there are some self-assessment tools that you will tell us, or probably people can browse through also, and
yeah,
we can look at them.
absolutely.
We Awesome. Okay, let's get to the next conversation in the same space, which is team building. When we build business, after me, the first thing I do is build my team. Like
Correct.
I told you, I had an issue with my team of getting them to work on a Sunday. What are the other things that we can look at our team? Because, yeah, team building is just so, so, so important.
In fact, Ruchi, firstly, I should compliment you that you demonstrated a high EI behavior by being vulnerable and sharing your story of how you railroaded someone to come on a Sunday and then would,
Yeah.
it takes a lot of guts to open up and being honest. And that's honestly one of the EI traits of being
Hmm.
vulnerable and authentic. Now,
Hmm.
without you realizing, you actually are taking your questions in a very beautiful way of EI. Because EI's first step was self awareness, which we spoke. The
Hmm.
second step is awareness of others.
Hmm.
I'm sure the viewers in the room and you, when growing up and even now, would have heard this terminology: treat others like how you want to be treated.
Of
Correct?
course.
But today, it's been crashed out. It
Hmm.
says that's crap. Treat others how they want to be treated. And that means, Ruchi, understand person whom you're working with is different, is not a clone of you. The biggest
Hmm.
mistake leaders do when they create team is identifying themselves in other people. So the expectation is मेरे जैसे काम करो, मेरे जैसे सोचो. So what happens is then uh, the expectation is like I'm finding myself in others, and obviously you're not going to get it. And hence comes the conflict. And we don't understand why this conflict arises. And then we don't want to have the difficult conversation. And then it goes into sometimes really bad experience. Sometimes it leaves scars for people. So when you're dealing with team, I wish I had a lot of time to talk about this one aspect. My only request is to begin identifying another person in your team as a different and unique person, not like you. That means how you are aware of your strengths, limitations, likes, dislikes. Have you taken time to know what are your strengths, limitations, likes, and dislikes? For example, I hired in my own team a person for digital marketing and all the internal marketing, and clearly told them in the interview that you also have to work on presentations, PPTs, because the job I do is all. I
Hmm.
later on realized when I was discussing with her and asking her likes and dislikes, she said, "This PPT work is something I don't like at all."
Hmm.
But the point is, I recruited her for that. Now, there were two choices: one, let her go, hire
Hmm.
someone. Second, find out where is the actual issue. Is it the will or the skill?
Hmm.
If it is a skill, we can always teach them. If it is a will, then you need to sometimes take bold decisions to let people go. It's good for them and for you.
Hmm.
So, even taking those bold decisions at the right time in your businesses is EI. Not getting too
Hmm.
emotionally tangled in it, but being more pragmatic and balanced approach.
Hmm. This is very interesting. So one thing that really take is treat others the way they want to be treated. I think
Absolutely.
even I used to keep saying treat others the way you want to be treated, but the minute I have to actually focus on treating you the way you want to be treated, I have to know how you want to be treated.
Exactly.
What are the
Exactly.
ways for me to know how you want to be treated?
Oh, Ruchi, this is such a deep question.
Some questions, some in some bullets probably. Of course,
Sure.
it gets me to say that you have to come for a hen Saturday, but then something, because I'm sure all of us here will be thinking, good, I'll treat you the way you want, but how do I even know
I can
how
give
you
you
want?
three things.
Tell
First
me.
one is observation. If you really want to become an exceptional and effective person, you need to get into the habit of observing behaviors, observing body languages, observing situations, observing what's really happening. It's a power, it's a superpower if you're having high observation skills. Because
Hmm.
that clearly tells you, for example, you're having a meeting and you're going on
Hmm.
talking about something, and you look at the observation, the body languages, you can clearly know that many of them have given up, many of them are switched off, and they're literally telling you, buddy, this is not of no interest to me. So that's one way of really understanding. Second, don't assume, ask. Even if you feel कि वो लोग बोर दिख रहे हैं, don't assume that they are you can say, oh my god, I'm going to take a pause here, and it looks like many of you are bored. Am I right? Am I, like, what's happening? Can we talk about it? So do not assume, ask questions. Third one is the most nicest thing that I like, it's conversations. Chai pe charcha. Free time may just get to know the person. You don't need a formal 1 hour meeting. You don't need meeting rooms. It is just taking that genuine effort to understand another person and how they want to share stories about themselves. So if nothing else, these three things are easily doable. Observation, no assumption, ask, and finally have conversations, regular conversations.
Hmm. I have more questions, but I'm going to control all our viewers, guys. If you all have questions, please, please, please share. However, we shall move to the third important leg of entrepreneurship, which is processes. While we build businesses, we build processes. Is there EI in building processes, Vanita?
Indeed, Ruchi, because processes are built for people in the organization, correct? And that's why we say don't be people centric, be process centric. But remember, you're building the process for people to follow. And that means when you're creating processes, have you kept that end user in mind? Have you thought about the person from their point of view when you're creating processes? For example, I was working with a startup in Bangalore, and
Mm-hmm.
they were into cloud kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, typically, when you look at cloud kitchen, when
Mm-hmm.
does the kitchen start? Typically, people start
Morning.
ordering from 12:30, 12 o'clock.
Acha.
वो भी
Hmm.
बहुत कम होता है, but 12:30
Hmm.
to 1 is when you get large orders till 3 p.m.
Correct. Lunch orders.
What is the point of calling employees at 6 a.m.?
For preparation, nahin?
How much
Like,
time would you need for preparation to start 12 o'clock food? It's a cloud kitchen. And
हाँ मतलब
hence,
I'm
so the reason I was invited to work is because they were having huge attrition. Chefs were leaving, people were leaving. And remember, in food business, is about consistency. It's
hmm,
about the same taste that you bring every time, which is going to get you in business.
hmm,
So I went and saw what was happening, and I could see that people were coming at first of all this early morning 6 o'clock. And
hmm,
remember, it's a cloud kitchen. That means in the night you're shutting your doors also pretty late. So people didn't
hmm.
have time, and I had
To
to
rest.
collect all this data. And I had a hard call with the founder, saying that what is, and then I started understanding it was a personal bias this founder had because his parents instilled that subhe utna is the
Hmm,
most important thing. Okay.
hmm,
Waking up in
hmm,
the morning 6 o'clock is the best thing. Everything happens there. Hello,
hmm,
that is your pattern thinking. You're
hmm,
running a
hmm,
business that starts typically around 12 o'clock. So even if people come at an godly hour of 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, how does it matter? You have enough people. And I had to
hmm,
challenge their pattern thinking. That's where
hmm,
in processes, many of our biases come in.
hmm,
Any
hmm,
process you notice, like even with our own children, we say, get up in the morning because you've been told that. 5 baje
hmm,
uthe padna is the best time. No, no.
hmm, hmm,
So the whole point is when creating processes, check for your pattern thinking and your
hmm,
own personal biases which come. And thirdly,
hmm,
most important, is it for the end user? Is
hmm,
it really benefiting the person who's supposed to be benefiting from it? And how
hmm,
adaptable you are. For example, you started a company 3 years ago, you set a process. But now COVID came and went, COVID came and changed a lot of things. Have you checked what you were doing? Is it even adaptable now? Is it so many a
hmm,
time we get like, it is my company, I started it like this is how it is, this is how it worked for me. Again, that's non-EI. And same with
hmm,
leaders in corporates, clinging on to 30 साल पहले मेरे बॉस ने मेरे को ये बोला, which is good, that worked for you then, but now you have Gen Z and Gen Alpha coming in. So
hmm,
how prepared are
hmm.
you? So agility, adaptability is again a big trait of EI.
Hmm. This is very interesting. I can again cite one example where
Please.
we are a virtual team,
Hmm.
and our day starts at 9:30 a.m. And in my early years मतलब अभी 2 साल पहले की बात है 2 साल पहले जब हमारे टीम मेंबर्स आते थे तो मैं उनका जान खाती थी कि आर दे टेकिंग शावर एंड कमिंग आर दे फ्रेश व्हेन डिड दे गेट अप हैव दे गॉटन अप एट 9 and they're logging at 9:30 because it's virtual, so people have this attitude. And I used to come and be like, if you don't take shower and you're not fresh and you're coming, then it doesn't work.
Hmm.
And then I used to give gyan. And then I came to a point where I would say, then in working hours, you all are losing time and, you're doing things and all of that. And then one day I just sat with myself and I asked, are these guys wanting me to give that gyan to them? Is that really important? If I don't look at that bit in that perspective, what other thing can I look at? What really is important?
Hmm.
To create a space where in today's time, in our team, we have all types of people. We have people who get
Correct.
up at 5 a.m. and we have people who actually get up at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
But one thing is, no matter who's getting up at what time, everybody is in the room at 9:30 a.m., eyes wide open, mind in place. They know what they have to deliver for the day and they're able to hit conversation.
Right.
And in that space, when I see that if somebody takes a break in between for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, however they want to, the deal is if they are committed to work, they spend that extra hour later. I don't have to run after them.
Hmm.
So, when you cite this example of that chef coming at 6
Yeah.
a.m. versus, 9,
Seriously. Yeah.
it,
Hmm.
it, it is just so important to create a
It
space
is.
of breather.
It is. In fact, your example, Ruchi, brings two elements. One is
Hmm.
you led me to a question saying, is EI always adaptable in sense of giving up your values? The answer is no. For example, you do have merit in saying that it's the end of the day you're virtual, but we are running a business. So this
Yeah.
is a professional setup. So
Yeah.
obviously you need to come well dressed. You can't come in your banyan and ganjis and sit and
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the point is professional behavior and expectation setting is again a high EI.
Yeah.
Not saying my way or the highway, just do because I'm the boss, but giving a logical reasoning that, hey, Hen is a professional setup. We work with hundreds of and thousands of women entrepreneurs in India. And when you show up either in the back end or in the front end, it's a professional look that carries about our brand. And
Yeah.
hence, the request is that come well showered, come on time. So I'm giving logic and reason and, of course, expectations, which is bound. And
Yeah.
there's no two leeways about it. So
Yeah.
I just want to clarify to people that EI is not always giving in. That's not EI. EI is that, hey, this is my view and there's a reason why I'm saying this. This is expected. And that's how you build organizations.
Yeah.
So please, I'm glad you're continuing with what. But again, if you see that people are not being professional, pointing out, talking about that behavior is also EI.
Yeah, luckily I have a team who kinds of understands
That's
things.
it.
I,
There you go.
I don't have to like go to that ground. But then, yeah, hitting these conversations, especially with the new age,
Yes,
team members now, who constantly are questioning, and there is this whole discussion, how to work with the new age now. I think hitting conversations and giving them reason is helping.
absolutely.
You know.
Actually, in fact, Ruchi, that is when the buy-in happens.
Hmm.
I buy in to your point. So I
Yeah.
get it when you say that. And I say, okay, now I get why she's saying that. And there's merit in it. And if there's
Yeah.
no merit, I will still tell you that.
Yeah.
So,
Actually.
yeah,
And here there is one more thing. Do we create space for the stakeholders to put in their buy in or not buy in? So, do we create a space where we say, okay, do we agree with each other or we don't agree with each other, but can we still coexist? Isn't it?
absolutely. And that is where you come to an agreement which is most relevant for the organizational priority.
Yeah.
For example, if there is a particular project in your organization and you need two people to work extra hours, and you know that is way beyond the time, clearly stating the reason why you're asking, what's it in for them, what's it in for the organization, and how they doing this extra 2 hours for 2 3 days is going to benefit. You show them the bigger picture, you will see how committed they are to do that job for you.
I agree.
And yeah, you don't have to motivate people every day. So,
Yeah.
one, clarity in your expectations and the reasons behind your decisions is again a very high EI trait. So, if you look at Genos, which is an Australian based EI company, the fourth step of the component of EI is emotional reasoning, where we check how balanced your decisions are.
Wow. Interesting. And we are just talking, this subject is just so conversational that I lost track of time. It is 6:55.
Oops.
However, we will talk about team building. I think there's just so much to talk about it.
Right.
But let's get to so we've discussed self doubt, self belief, we've discussed team building, we've discussed EI in processes. Let's talk about EI with customers.
Sure.
Do you have stories on how do we use EI in today's time for customer experience where customer is seeking our attention but attention is so expensive?
Well said, Ruchi. Well said. In fact, if you notice design thinking, which is now
Hmm.
taken over the world, and literally everybody uses design thinking, the first step of design thinking is empathy.
Hmm.
So, if you are either in business or are you in working in corporate, whoever is a listener today, there is something called empathy toolkit. There's a
Mm-hmm.
document which is easily found in Google. When
Mm-hmm.
you pick up this document, it actually makes you get into uh,
Mm-hmm.
the other person's mind, shoes, body, whatever, makes you think, how they behave, what are their expectations, aspirations. So you literally get into understanding before you design something. In fact, if
Hmm.
you noticed, the last 2 weeks I've been circulating a survey where me
Mm-hmm.
and my two other women colleagues from Australia are planning to start a wellness company called the Wellness Spell.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have great ideas and brilliant points, but the point is that what customers need in the market. So what we
Yeah.
did was we circulated survey to see
Mm-hmm.
what is it that they want from us, and is it
Hmm.
matching what we had in mind. And that was
Hmm.
pretty surprising that some
Hmm.
things matched, but something didn't, and that gave us a leeway of all right, this is what the client is asking. What can we do to bring?
Hmm.
So constant seeking feedback, never shy away
Mm-hmm.
from seeking feedback from your clients ever, even if it is critical.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why
Hmm.
they say feedback is breakfast for champions.
Hmm. Yeah.
So the more you seek feedback, the more
Hmm.
you seek understanding, the more you talk about your products out there with clients, it's going to be magic for you.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I absolutely believe in this because I think on Hen as well, whatever we are delivering today is only what we keep hearing from our members
Exactly.
who tell us what we need. Even now, as we are talking, we have this big conversation: when should Hen weekly meet happen? So there is a poll running, and we it means we have to change the entire system because we
Exactly.
run with that core. The center is our weekly meeting, and now if
Exactly.
that changes, everything in the company changes. But
True.
if it is we can't do
So you
much.
see how beautifully you are even willing to change the process,
Yeah.
because the end user matters the most, and that's high EI.
Yeah, I mean, that's so important. But since you spoke about empathy and we were talking about customers, so how do you use empathy in scaling up? Because I know most of our viewers today are entrepreneurs and in scale up stage. Some tips, insights
Oh,
around.
there are many actually, but Ruchi, again with paucity of time, scaling up by itself starts with again self awareness. Where are
Mm-hmm.
you now? Where do you want to go?
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, why you're going.
Mm-hmm.
Thirdly, how open are you to let go what you started? Many of the women entrepreneurs whom I made, because I do mentoring, coaching with women entrepreneurs, many of the women I heard say, "This is my baby," and I get
Hmm.
very shocked and scared when people say business is your baby. It's not. It's a business. So you need to let go when it is needed. You need to grow up. So
Hmm.
when do you actually scale up? Is when you look at your business as business. That's the first thing.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
what are your thinking about it? What is self doubt popping in? And secondly, be open. Sometimes
Hmm.
when you have mentors, please have mentors. Please, please. That's a request for all the women who are
Hmm.
listening, entrepreneurs especially. Please have a mentor, because
Hmm.
mentors are like mirrors, they show you reality. And sometimes we want to scale up. Maybe that's not the right time. I mean, it's a
Hmm.
harsh feedback, but that's a reality. Even if you want to go against what people have been telling, then be honest in accepting if it fails. And even if you
Hmm.
fail while scaling up, be bold to let go or just move on. So there are a lot
Hmm.
of elements in scaling up where EI plays a part. First is
Hmm.
clarity. Second is openness to accept views. Third is
Mm.
seeking help and advice without hesitating.
Mm.
And
Mm.
fourth is the art of letting go when things don't
Mm.
go right. And see what
Mm.
else
Mm.
you do. It's not I'm
Mm.
telling you let go the business, but see how
Mm.
else can you enhance and scale up. Because in
Yeah.
business, it's all about finding many paths which can help
Mm.
and help you scale up.
Hmm. That's very interesting because what you're also saying is, EI, when we say emotional intelligence, it just looks a soft skill, be good to others, be good to yourself. But here you are saying, guys, it's not about being good, it's about being mindful. And if
Exactly.
that means letting go of something that you think is your baby, or
Yeah.
you think, that is your identity, but to say that that is not your identity is also EI, which means again self-awareness. Like
Yeah.
it's a big
Yeah. And
journey.
that's where I say you understand the limitations, you work on it and see how you,
Yeah,
that is again high EI.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
otherwise, ego gets in. And then
yeah.
you end up just pleasing the ego and not actually pleasing you, which is the person
Mm,
who you are. And
mm,
that really drains you. And honestly, it's
mm.
not worth it.
Hmm, I know. I've had that experience as well.
Oh,
Like in my earlier business, I did figure out. I started out as a graphic designer, and I realized that eventually people were talking to me about building business, but not design. I was
huh?
getting design project, but my designs weren't getting selected. It was designs by my team members that were getting selected.
Mm.
So I actually took a stand to say that in that case, I should not design. Why am I wasting time making designs? I should have people who make designs and enjoy, and I should be able to sell it. So,
Exactly. See, that's
that's,
high EI.
yeah.
That's
So, and
literally high EI. Yeah.
yeah, so even today, when I sit down to make designs, I open up. Give me
So
feedback, I'll hear and I'll see how to process it. But saying that, there is so much conversation we've had, and there is so much about building your emotional muscle that we are talking
that's
about
right. Yeah.
now. There are so many ways, but I know one way to build these emotional muscle is self assessment tools,
Absolutely.
which are many and plenty on this planet,
Correct. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Do you want to give us an insight? Because I'll tell you my journey. When I went for my first self assessment, I actually got into this journey because my first assessment somebody sponsored for me. And I didn't have to go asking for ROI because it was like a gift. I kind of took it. But thereafter I realized every time I take assessment or I'm talking to people, it's just so difficult for me to understand, one, what this assessment would do for me, two, how do I look at the ROI of it, which I think most of us don't understand. Do you want to
Correct.
give us insights on how do we select these assessments, how do we comprehend them?
So thanks, Ruchi, for asking. And this is again, like I say, people hesitate to take assessment. But I personally feel that for your own self development, don't hesitate to spend money on your own growth because there's only so much you can do, and you can do exponentially 10x more when you invest in yourself to grow. And one of the ways to do is assessment because there are various assessments which Genos EI offers. One is a 360-degree where you can reach out to different people, your customers, your team, your family, and see how people tell about your. So Genos has 42 behaviors under 6 competencies.
Okay.
Now, that is a assessment where you seek feedback from different people, including your own feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that costs somewhere around 10,000 rupees, Indian rupees.
Mm-hmm.
Many people feel it is little expensive for them, and I understand. So there's another one which is called Genos Grow, which is a self-assessment purely, and it is available
Mm-hmm.
for you for 6 months. Currently, I
Mm-hmm.
can offer you 30 days free trial. Please take it, use it.
Mm-hmm.
And assessment again is not one time. This
Mm-hmm.
costs you only 4,000 bucks. Now, by taking this one-time assessment, you work on it for 6 months, and then take the retest and see where you stand. So if you ask me, it's literally investment. See, today you go to a restaurant and four people eating costs you 12,000, 13,000 bucks easily. A good lunch, a decent, I'm talking, not even like a 3, 5 star.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about your own development. And investing this is not at all a worrisome money because you are getting to hear what people think about you and your behaviors. In fact, you
Mm-hmm.
won't believe in that 42 behaves, one of the question is about your time management.
Mm-hmm.
How well do you manage your time is also an EI behavior.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times you see people going late for meetings, telling, "Oh, I'm so sorry, mera pichla meeting late ho gaya." That's not high EI. If you know there are back-to-back meetings, one you space out at the beginning, or you shut one meeting saying, "Sorry, but I have another meeting. I'm very particular about time." That shows your importance to every meeting that you have taken for yourself. So please do take the assessment. Currently, it's free for a month. So you're not even going to lose anything by assessing who you are. And do let us know how we can help you further.
Awesome. So, guys, as Vanitha was talking, I did share the link. I'm sharing it again. This is the link to 30 days free um,
Try,
assessment trial
try.
link for you. Y'all can go ahead, fill this up, and y'all can connect with Vanitha. I am sharing her LinkedIn link. Yes, this is where her LinkedIn link is. You can go reach out to her, hit a conversation, and she'll be there to hit a conversation with you. I just want to, before we wrap up, I just want to share I have had three assessments, solid ones in my lifetime. The first one that I did was MBTI, which told
Yeah.
me that, I am an ENFJ. And I was
Oh,
so stuck with F, which says feeling, because my friends used to say I don't have feeling. They think I
yeah.
work 24 by 7, so I don't have feeling. And here is a stranger who says I have only feeling. Took me
Hmm.
3 months of coaching to come back to myself and say, where are those feelings in my body?
Exactly.
And once you get that close to yourself, that's where, life changes. So
Absolutely.
I am going to go ahead and take this assessment,
Thank you, Ruchi. Thank
Vanita,
you.
for
And I'm
sure.
sure it's going to be, like Jana says, it's going to be a game changer. So please, yes.
Absolutely. I think as we grow up the ladder, it's
Yeah,
so important to get close to yourself. Not,
constantly, yes.
yeah, not just for yourself, but how this self then builds the whole empire that
Absolutely.
we've set out for.
Absolutely.
Awesome. On that note, guys, it is 7-7. We should call it a day. Vanita, thank you so much. This was really interesting conversation. I think you need to come in and tell us more insights about team building.
Always happy to support your endeavor, Ruchi, because what you're doing for women is exceptional. And being part of the community adds value. And I think supporting women to uplift them and ourselves in the bargain and in the journey, I think is such a fulfilling and rewarding experience. So, anytime, happy to come and even have talks or conversations or even chai pe charchas.
Of
Happy to
course.
do it for you. Thank you so much once
Awesome.
again.
Thank
Grateful.
you. Thank you so much. We do have some feedback. So we have Gunjan saying, very generous of you, Vanita.
How
Thank you
sweet.
so
Thank you.
much. She will go check the link out.
Oh, yeah,
Priyanka
sure. Please.
says, very insightful conversations. Thank you, guys. Thank you. These conversations, these comments keep us going. We will see you next week with yet another conversation. Until
I
then,
look forward
Chak
to
de
it.
fatte. Thank you. See you.
Bye.
Bye.